What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the September 23rd episode of AEW Rampage from Arthur Ashe Stadium. Yes, a 2-hour edition of AEW Rampage tonight. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you are notified when House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. This show was stacked. It was loaded. It was fun. And I have to say, I prefer this year's AEW Grand Slam, Rampage Dynamite, the whole thing. I prefer this year's show compared to last year's. This AEW Rampage, 2 hours. Of course, last year's was 2 hours, but this year's, for me personally, it had a better card. There was better storytelling. Just the depth of talent that was on the show and utilized. I preferred it this year as opposed to last year. It's crazy to think that last year you had Powerhouse Hobbs open against CM Punk, and this year Powerhouse Hobbs was main eventing. So show you the growth of where everything has gone in 1 year, and of course CM Punk no longer the champ, and we still don't know what's his future going to be in AEW, but there's a lot of speculation and stuff like that. But again, we gotta wait, see what happens. So it is what it is. But man, tonight's show, I loved it. It was fun. It was a nice complimentary alternative to what the WWE did on SmackDown earlier, which I'm going to get into that in another video on my SmackDown review. But man, this was a fun show. Before I get into this whole show, I'm just going to give you guys the results. So we had Sting and Darby Allin. They defeated the House of Black. We had Hook and Action Bronson. Yes, the rapper Action Bronson. They defeated Matt Menard and Angelo Parker from the Jericho Appreciation Society. Then we had Samoa Joe and Wardlow defeat Josh Woods and Tony Nese. We then had Jungle Boy defeat Rey Fenix in a very fantastic match. A lot of athleticism in that match. Then we had Eddie Kingston. He originally defeated Sammy Guevara, but didn't relinquish the submission hold, so the win went to Sammy Guevara. Then we had Jay Cargill practically dominate Diamante. Then in the Battle Royal, you had Hangman Page win, so he is going to face John Mox, I believe, the October 7th episode of Dynamite. I believe it's the Dynamite that's filmed on a Tuesday. I can't remember what it is. Forgive me, guys. Comment below. Let me know what day it is. Then in the main event, you had Ricky Starks defeat Powerhouse Hobbs in a lights out unsanctioned match. That was the whole card. I love this card. Like I said, this was a fun show. Very fun show. Getting into the first match, House of Black versus Sting and Darby Allin. Man, there was a lot of spots in this match where there was a spot where Sting hit his head on the table. Then the Julia Hart spot where she fell off the apron into the table, which it looked like she missed the table and hit the guardrail, which was like, there was a lot of spots like that. You're just like, damn, I hope they're okay. Like, damn, they hit their head like awkwardly. You had that. You had what else was there? There was the beatdown that Buddy Matthews and Brody King was doing on Darby Allin on the stage. Darby coffin drop onto Buddy Matthews. Then you had another spot in the match where Brody King, he had Darby Allin in a chokehold, and they just rolled off the stage onto a freaking, smashed into a table. Like, it was spots like that was crazy. Just crazy stuff, man. Just wild and crazy. And it was, like I said, it was a complete opposite of what last year's opening match was, which was CM Punk and Powerhouse Hobbs. But this match, like, this was the perfect match to start off with and the way this match went about for that crowd, considering that they shot, you had Dynamite, which was live, and then they taped a 2-hour Rampage right after in New York. And you're talking about, Dynamite finishes at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, but in the East Coast, that's 10 o'clock. So you got 10 o'clock till like midnight that they're finishing. I think, honestly, I do believe it was closer to almost like 1 or something like that they uh, finished taping. So that's man, that's crazy. But this was a perfect match to start off a Rampage for that crowd, and for the viewers that were watching right after SmackDown. This was really good. So perfect match, perfect part of this match, which I thought was really, really dope, was the part where Sting was handcuffed. Buddy Matthews is laying him in and everything. Him and Julia Hart, they put Sting on a chair, and he's about to hit him with a bat. Lights go out, and of course everyone's thinking, "Wait a minute, did Malachi Black come back already?" Lights kind of go back on, but then you have on the screen you have this mask, and then the Great Muta. Yes, the Great Muta appeared on AEW Rampage. I love that. So he comes down, big ovation and everything, and of course he's looking at Sting, and he turns around, looks at Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews tries to hit him, but he does a signature swinging leg sweep. Then he does the infamous mist into Buddy Matthews' face. Sting unhooks, gets the pin. 1, 2, 3 by the Scorpion Death Drop. That's when you had Julia Hart, where she got knocked off the apron, and she was supposed to hit the table. See that her feet hit the table, like half her body hit the table, and the other half hit the guardrail coming down. Like that was a crazy spot, but man, that was a cool surprise to bring out at Grand Slam. I mean, when it happened, everyone on Twitter was like, "Man, Great Muta and Sting was like the first match that I watched as a kid." I remember being a 7-year-old kid watching that feud, Great Muta and Sting, where it was just like so mesmerizing because you had guys at the main event level that were so athletic. Mind you, I want to keep in mind as I'm retelling, this part of wrestling history, that at that time in 1989, you had Hulk Hogan that was more muscle and power, and you had most main event guys that were like that, and not too many guys who were main event guys or about to be main event guys were that athletic. And their feud over the NWA the NWA television title, which eventually Sting went to challenge for the world title. But man, their feud was great, and it was so good to see them. And the video afterwards, and the crowd knew what it was. It was special because that was the feud. That was the first feud that really put Sting into that main event stature, where like, okay, he can go here. He's ready for the main event. And that was that feud. It's so memorable. And, at that time, people always said that the Great Muta was the Sting of the Japan. And it was just, oh man, it was so good. And of course, Jim Ross is calling, which he was calling that feud back in 1989. So cool. So cool. So cool. I like that. It was so cool. The match was good. Brody King and Darby Allin have tremendous chemistry. I would not be surprised if they somehow turn the House of Black face and Darby joins them or something like that. AEW does some crazy stuff that I would not be surprised if that happens. Then, second match, you had Matt Bernard and Angelo Parker versus Action Bronson and Hook. They mentioned the BET Awards. Like, they mentioned Action Bronson's accolades and everything. I was like, they mentioned the BET Awards on Rampage. Yeah, it is fun. But man, this match, it was pretty short. Hook, man, him and Angelo Parker that's another duo that has great in-ring chemistry. The athleticism that Hook was doing, the intensity and the physicality with his moves. You could see Hook being more nasty and grittier with his moves, and man, he really showcased a more aggressive athleticism in this match. More with his submission holds and reversals and everything. But man, Action Bronson, man, that brother is quick. Him running the ropes, him doing clotheslines, him doing. There was a spot where Matt Menard and Angelo Parker were on the ropes, and it's the infamous big guy spot where they run and splash on him. And man, he did it perfectly, man. Very good, man. Very quick. All he did was splashes and clotheslines, and there was a power slam that he did. Man, he did that so well, man. So when you do the power bomb and you protect the person's head, and man, he perfect, man. That was a cool match, a fun match. It didn't go too long. It wasn't too short. It was just the right amount of time. And of course, Hook and Action Bronson won. That was so good, man. And you know what was also cool about this match was the loud Action Bronson chants. Like all throughout this card, you had chants throughout the show, which you didn't necessarily have that last year, where it was like once CM Punk and Hobbs had their match, then it was just like, yeah, okay. And then it's like, oh, Homicide showed up, but no. This was dope. Then we get the Josh Woods, Tony Nese versus Wardlow, Samoa Joe. Again, this was more like you could say a squash match, because I mean, they started brawling and everything, and eventually you had Samoa Joe and Wardlow get the upper hand. Wardlow, Samoa Joe gets the pin. They win. Then you have Wardlow doing the Wardlow Symphony, where he powerbombed Mark Sterling multiple times, and that was basically this. Like, there wasn't anything like spectacular about this match. It was just cool to see Wardlow and Samoa Joe be a tag team, which I would not mind Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. That would be a very good match. I'd like to see that match. We might see it maybe this year or maybe in 2023. I would not put it past AEW that we get that match. Then we had a video package of Jungle Boy hyping up his match with Rey Fenix, which was the next match. And man, this match, I recommend you guys watch it, because man, the athleticism in this match, again, just like Hook, where he showed more of aggressive athleticism, in this match, Jungle Boy showcased more of a strategic, precise athleticism and reversals and counters and everything. And Rey Fenix, man, that brother never has a bad match, man. His matches are always so entertaining. Him and his brother's matches, like, you just have to sit there and just like, how can the human body flip and jump off a ring rope like that? Like, what? And this match delivered, man. Like I said, there was a spot that sticks out in my head, and I had to take a note on it. There was Rey Fenix had Jungle Boy up in a powerbomb position, and he was going to like powerbomb him, but Jungle Boy reversed it into a Canadian Destroyer, where it was like, how is that physically possible? And Jungle Boy did it, man. Like, go back and watch that match. You'll see that spot. I was freaking out. I'm like, that's crazy. Rey Fenix did the Three Amigos. But in the end, it was the Jungle Boy reversing a muscle buster into a roll up, which was another slick move that he did to get the victory. That was really cool. And then afterwards, they show respect. Music hits. Christian comes down. Luchasaurus attacks Jungle Boy, choke slams him. Christian calls him a little bitch. That was basically furthering their feud. Post match, it is what it is. They're gonna, if you can do it, you can do it. If not, oh well, you have a video or something like that. But that match, Jungle Boy Ray Phoenix, man, that it's hard to say if that was the match of the night because there was a few other solid matches, but man, that was a really good match. Then you get a video of Jericho and Jazz celebrating his ROH World Title victory. And what was interesting about this video is Daniel Garcia's like, hey, I got to talk to you about something. And Jericho's cutting him off and like, no. Wait till next week for the celebration. Wait till next week. So are we going to get Daniel Garcia leaving Jazz? Or are we going to get Daniel Garcia challenging Jericho for the Ring of Honor title, which eventually leads to him leaving Jazz? So that's going to be interesting. A nice little tease to what could possibly happen next week. Looking forward to that and how that plays out. Of course, you could tell that this is leading to Daniel Garcia possibly winning the ROH World title, but that remains to be seen. But of course, it's definitely leading to Jericho and Daniel Garcia feuding. So, again, I'm looking forward to that. Then we get Eddie Kingston versus Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara, he starts it off coming to the ring. Of course, him and his wife are making out Ty Mello. He's like, man, I'm sorry, and you're a fat piece of... Before you can even finish, Eddie Kingston just started mollywopping him, man. He just started beating the hell out of him. He was brawling, like he eye gouged him. That's how he stopped. He just grabbed him, choked him, and then started eye gouging him around the ring. It was like, whoa, this is crazy. But man, this was a physical match. Like they laid into each other. A lot of chops from Eddie Kingston. There was one scary spot where Sammy Guevara was attempting to do a back body drop. And Eddie Kingston, like his body was supposed to hit the apron, but it started going over to the floor, and it looked like he almost hit his head almost hit the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, and he hit the floor. That was oof, man. But then Eddie Kingston, he did the 3 forearm strikes. Then he put Sammy Guevara in a stretch plum. He gets the victory, but he doesn't let go. So the ref's ringing the bell. You get the officials coming down. They start telling him to break it up. Jerry Lynn comes down. They start, hey, you got to stop. You got to stop. The ref, Paul Turner, reverses the decision. Eddie Kingston, he releases the hold, and then he starts beating up all the security. Looks at Jerry Lynn. Commentary start mentioning, man, there needs to be fines and suspensions for this. And it's like, really? Like, and I don't find it bad or anything, but it's just like, is it kind of too soon to talk about that? Because you still have this whole thing with Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Punk. Kind of like a little cloud over. It's like, really? It's like, okay. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes with Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara and who else may be involved. Of course, Ruby Soho, unfortunately, is sidelined with a broken nose that requires surgery, so that sucks. So we don't know who else is going to fill that spot with helping Eddie Kingston and his feud with Sammy Guevara and take Mello. So we'll see what happens with that. Then we get Diamante versus Jade Cargill. Trina comes out. Then you get Jade Cargill. Looks like a freaking superstar. Always looks like a superstar. This match started off with Diamante getting a good amount of offense. I liked it because I was like, man, okay. And this many people have been saying that Diamante should be on Dynamite and Rampage regularly, considering how often she's on Dark and Dark Elevation. Like, she needs to be on, like, she's put on solid matches. Like, let's go. Um, but it is what it is. But this match was, it started off like, again, like I said, Diamante, she got an offense, and then once Jade Cargill got that kick, it was over. It was just that. Then it was over. There was a cool spot where Diamante, when she reversed a move, she knocked. What was it? She ducked under a clothesline and drop kicked Jade Cargill over the ropes, and then she drop kicked her on the floor. And I haven't seen Jade Cargill hit the mat that hard, and it looked like she hit face first. Like, ooh, damn. Okay, damn. But then she got in the ring. Or not, she didn't get in the ring at this time. She actually, a cool spot, Diamante got on the top rope, dove on Jade Cargill, and Jade Cargill caught her, kind of stumbled a little bit, but she caught her, held her, and then she walked around and did a F5 on the apron. I was like, damn. Got in the ring, did her finisher, 1, 2, 3. That was it. Jade Cargill wins. You get Trina coming in the ring, and of course it's like, ooh, is Trina gonna, do something to Jade Cargill? What's going on here? And Trina picks up Diamante, and the slap could have gotten a little bit better, but she slaps Diamante, raises Jade Cargill's hand. It was an okay match. I could see why some people may criticize it. By criticizing, let me rephrase that. Explain that. By criticizing, like, man, it wasn't like a typical style of match that we see Diamante do, and like, it really didn't feel like a typical match that we see Jade Cargill in. Like, it was just like boom, 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 and all right, let's get to the finish. Like, it really, I don't know, maybe it's too short or what have you, but it just really didn't have that meat on the bone that we usually have with a Diamante match and a Jade Cargill match. It kind of felt a little rush. But hey, they keep bringing in these rappers and everything. Hey, from that tweet that Jade Cargill put out to Cardi B, like I said, if AEW can get Cardi B into a Dynamite or a Rampage, more of Dynamite, that's going to be interesting. That's good press, and we'll see what happens with there. Then we get the Battle Royal. Hangman Page is the first guy out, and then all the heels just start beating him up. Then more of the faces come out, and there's just a brawl, and they do the picture-in-picture, and then they cut to commercial. They come back, all the guys are in. The thing that stood out about this Battle Royal was, one, you had interaction between Dalton Castle and Brian Cage, where Cage attempted to knock him out, and the boys, Dalton Castle's boys, saved him. They walked him around, and they put him up there. I believe he's the one that eliminated Cage. So, it's the first thing. We could see a Brian Cage, Dalton Castle program in Ring of Honor. It does seem like we could be closer to a deal of some sorts with Ring of Honor. I don't know. Maybe. Then you had a Daniel Garcia, Lee Moriarty interaction there. So it's like, okay, are we planting the seeds for Lee Moriarty, Daniel Garcia feud? Because they kind of mentioned it on commentary. It's like, okay. And then you had the reunion of Matt Hardy and Private Party. So you had those three things that commentary really emphasized on. And it was like, this is the only thing. Like, everything else was boom, this guy's trying to make this guy. And it was just your typical battle royal, but it was those three things that commentary really specified and kind of like mentioned and really emphasized. Like, okay, that's pretty interesting. But I enjoyed this battle royal. It was really fun, man. Then you had the final three, which is Jay Lethal, Roosh, and Hangman Page. It was a cool spot where Jay Lethal almost got eliminated and Samuelson caught him. Hangman Page, buckshot reverses, looks to attempt to throw Jay Lethal over the rope, but Sam Singh's there, so he goes to the other side and throws him over. So then you have Hangman and Roosh. There was a spot, man. Hangman Page, man. This was, man, a lot of arm strength and just perfect storytelling. So he gets knocked over on the rope and he's going over and you see his feet about to touch the floor and he brings him up and he's hanging. Like it was man. Perfect timing, man. Go back and watch that. That was like some Shawn Michaels 1995 Royal Rumble stuff. That was like, whoa, that was so cool. Him and Roosh, perfect. In the end, Hangman Page eliminates Roosh with the back tombstone reversal thing, whatever that damn move is. He wins, so he gets the golden ticket. He's going to face Moxley at the Dynamite, which is going to be on a Tuesday. I believe it's the first or second week of October. So we get Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley. I don't think Hangman Page is winning. I don't want Hangman Page to win. More so because I do think that we might be in the early stages of a Hangman Page heel turn, which I know people are like, what? We might be in the early stages of a Hangman Page heel turn. Mark my words, because it does seem like there is, maybe not next month, but maybe November, December, we get the Young Bucks and Omega returning. I think it's actually time to have the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Page be heels. I've said it several times, and this goes back to when Cody was in AEW. I think it's about time these guys go back to what made them popular and fan favorites, because they were heels and people loved them as heels. So I think it's the perfect time, especially with everything that's happened with the CM Punk All Out, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks thing. Not a lot of people really care too much for the Young Bucks and Omega. So it's like if certain amount of fans are there or have that sentiment, you can't fight against it, because in arenas you're gonna get that teasing and stuff like that. So it's gonna be interesting what happens with Hangman Page, but looking forward to that match. Does the Dark Order help him, or does he? Like I said, we could be possibly getting to the early stages of a Hangman Page heel turn. Then in the main event, unsanctioned lights out match, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks. I enjoyed this match. Kudos to AEW for this, that they put a lights out match at the end of Rampage, considering that by this time you're talking about it's probably like 12:30 or something like that, because I if I remember correctly, people were getting out of Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York like around 1 o'clock in the morning. So it was smart for them to turn off the lights, considering that by that time it was, people were tweeting that people were leaving and everything. So you darken the top part, which only the lower level is lit, and looked pretty decent to me on TV. But this was a fight. This was a fight. Chairs, tables were used in this. The spot where Powerhouse Hobbs, I believe it was a spinebuster or power bomb onto the chair. Man, Ricky Starks, man, his back hitting that chair was, oof, that was tough, man. Very tough. They start fighting up the stage, and Powerhouse Hobbs, he rips off one of the lights through the entrance tunnels, starts hitting Ricky Starks. Then eventually they work their way back in the ring. Ricky Starks gets the pipe. He whacks Powerhouse Hobbs with it. Then you have part in the match where Ricky Starks spears Powerhouse Hobbs into the table. Then he picks him up and he does the Rolling Boo, his finishing move. Like, I'm surprised that Ricky Starks picked up Powerhouse Hobbs and he held him there. And he did his finisher, 1, 2, 3. Ricky Starks wins. So I believe they're 2-1 in this feud or what have you. But it was really cool to see this match be the main event, considering these are the AEW part of their up and coming wrestlers, young wrestlers that they've been just really putting focus on. And it was really cool to see that, because it's like, man, they showcased Darby, they showcased Jungle Boy, Jade, who else? Hook, Sammy Guevara. If you really go through this card, you had pretty much the so-called pillars of AEW on Rampage. And that's something a lot of people haven't been talking about, that they've really leaned heavily into their young core talent in AEW. Even in the women's division, they're really leaning into it, which is a smart thing, because, hey, maybe what happened at All Out is like, you know what? We need to... Some of these young talents, they're ready. So let's put them up there. But overall, man, I enjoyed this Rampage. Like I said, what I liked about this Rampage compared to last year's was, one, the pacing of the show, the match quality, the depth of talent, which last year they had depth of talent, but the way this Rampage, the pacing, it was just so fluid and everything. Of course, it wasn't perfect or anything, but there was a better fluidity to this Rampage as opposed to last year's at Arthur Ashe Stadium. The main event, you had two young guys that were hot. Last year's Rampage, maybe it was because it was the first one. Like, it just felt like the crowd was just like fatigued and like barely holding on until, the main event. But this one, it was nice spots. The crowd was into the whole show. They were chanting when it was good. And actually, thinking about it now, it was nice match placement to spread out Darby Allin in the first match. Then you have Hook and Action Bronson. They're going to get a reaction. Then you had Samoa Joe and Wardlow. They're going to get a reaction. The symphony of Wardlow. That's going to get a reaction. Jungle Boy is going to get a reaction because of his entrance theme. So you're going to get that. And then it's Rey Fenix. So that's going to be spectacular. Eddie Kingston's going to get a reaction because he's from New York, and his entrance, he always gets the reaction. He's always going to get that Eddie chance. Jade Cargill is going to get a reaction just because of who people love watching her. Then the Battle Royal was going to get a reaction the way it started with the brawl and everything. And of course, man, who's going to get this title? Who's going to get the shot at the AEW World title? So you have that. And for that match, people were standing on their feet for that Battle Royal. And then in the main event, of course, Ricky Starks is going to get a reaction. Hobbs is going to get a reaction. So this was a very well done, thought out way that they put this match card together. So kudos to Tony Khan. That was a very smart thing, because you kept the crowd interested in the matches. And that's the most important thing, because as a viewer, it's nothing worse than watching a crowd that is just not reacting, because it just makes it drag and just like draining to watch. But this show did a very good job. Looking forward to Dynamite, looking forward to Rampage next week, and just the things that are happening in AEW. It's just a renewed sense of momentum, and just, all right, AEW is getting this swagger back. And I think that's something that a lot of people have been questioning and asking over the summers. Like, man, AEW just doesn't have that swagger, that, like, it just don't feel the same. And tonight, and even this past Wednesday, it just feels like, okay, there's this swagger that AEW is starting to have and everything. And also, kudos to Action Bronson and Trina for episode of Rampage. AEW is really leaning into this this crossover with hip hop artists and the wrestlers and everything. And like I said, Jade Cargill tweeted out Cardi B after Cardi B was tweeting out Trina showing up, and it's like, are we gonna get Cardi B on AEW TV? I don't know, but this is gonna be cool. This is gonna be fun. Are we gonna get more rap artists on AEW television, which is so cool because you could see that the wrestlers are having fun, the rap artists are having fun because most of the rap artists know the wrestlers, so it's like this is gonna be fun. But man, this is my review for the September 23rd episode of AEW Rampage from Arthur Ashe Stadium, a part of the AEW Grand Slam event. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you are notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. That is all.